Win crypto moon. God dang it. I've been waiting too long. This price is going down. It's going sideways. I thought I was supposed to make a lot of money. Everybody get that like button, hit that subscribe, ding the bell. Make sure you retweet this over on Twitter. Let me go ahead and get that done myself right now. We're going to dive right on in to the show. Wow. 1 second. I'm just trying to get this. There we go. Retweet. Bitcoin, altcoins is the bottom near Win Moon. Let's get into it. We got I have a different look today. So let me know how you like my jawline. Let's go.
Welcome in to the BitLab basement. This is your boy. You know who I am, but I got a special guest joining us on the show today, Mr. Kelly Kellum of
What's up, baby?
Academy. Mr. Professor, it's a fun day in crypto. We're having a good time out here. Happy to join you on the show. Man, is Ethereum dead? That's the question right now. You know, it's so crazy. Like I definitely am excited to hear what you're seeing on chain for Bitcoin. Technologically, things have shifted for Ethereum. Its use case has changed. We've seen a lot of layer twos built around it. It's like this huge, vibrant ecosystem on Base is happening right now, and Ethereum holders are wondering what the hell's going on. So it's
So
kind of
with that being said, before we're going to dive in, we're going to share some charts. We're going to look at some levels. We're going to figure out what we can do if we need a crypto facelift, if we need Botox, if we got to get the butthole bleached here in the markets, because what's happening, it feels like it's over. We're seeing everybody talking about recession. We're seeing everybody, this time's different. We've topped out. We're going down. And by the way, everybody stick around because towards the end of the show, I'm going to be sharing a bunch of other charts beyond this discussion we're having with Drew from the blockchain basement. But what's your general sentiment about the perceived sentiment of the audience, but also yours particular sentiment about where we're at in the market right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So in about February of 2021, we dropped pretty heavy on Bitcoin. Now, where we dropped in terms of the overall Fib extension of the entire market is actually quite different. January and February, we dropped at a higher Fibonacci sequence than we are currently. We actually are one level lower than we were last market. In general, it makes sense for me since we're a much larger market cap in general, multi-trillion-dollar market cap, in total for the market. But really where we're dropping and kind of finding this reset for Bitcoin is between the 1 to 1,618 if you're pulling like from the entire market to market highs. And let's just go from the top to bottom here. This is actually kind of brought me back down to earth. This 28% pullback 109 down to the $80,000 level in our current Fib extension, right? And if this thing operated according to just general history, we'd be looking for somewhere in the mid 3618 to 4.236. But that's not what I'm looking at here. Previous market, we had this big calm down moment for Bitcoin in January and February of 2021. And this pullback in general was pretty similar, right? We got like a 33% pullback. Proved this lower Fib as support before being able to cook on up. But looking at these things overlaid and just understanding the market cap is much larger now for Bitcoin, I'm actually painting my target below this 3618 to 4236 RAM. I am not looking to perform to the top of this Fibonacci sequence. I know everything. We have all the nation states buying. We have all the bullish news we could possibly imagine, but keeping my expectations tampered, I'm actually targeting about 170, 200 if I'm extra lucky with all the narratives of nation states adding to Bitcoin reserves and things of that nature. But I am still of the opinion that we're not going to see the United States actively buying and adding to some sort of reserve until 2026 or 2027. That's when I actually think that's going to be tangibly happening. And yes, we'll have nation states trying to front run us until then, but just the overall design of this market, this is a continuation of a design of diminished returns. And at large, I feel like where we are here is very similar sentiment wise and time frame wise to this zone right here, January, February of 2021. So the next impulse, the next few impulses, I believe are going to be that kind of first hurrah. What I think is coming more immediately is an attempt that will take us about to the halfway point of the 1.618 to 2618 at about 120. Um, then I think, violent chop, violent chop, and then a final hurrah, hopefully getting us up to like that 170 would be right about there, not even halfway through this realm. That is in general what I feel like for Bitcoin. Now, the altcoin sector is a whole
Well,
different
I want to
beast.
pause you for a moment because everybody out there paying attention, we need to all do our part of getting engaged, sharing our thoughts, and figuring out where the sort of rubber meets the road, where we can meet in the middle. Because some are going to be way off, way too hyperbolic, some are going to be too bearish, and the likelihood is a price action is probably going to be somewhere in the middle of all that. So everybody
Mhm.
watching right now, I see Corey writes, I see Chris Pfaff, I see Ugan Sky, Crypto Corey. Who else we got? I think that's both you, Corey, but welcome back. Welcome to the show, buddy. Alexander G, Daniel Caprood. We got the fam here. Where do you think price is going? Once we break are we going to break 109? Are we going to break the previous all-time high in the next 6 months? If so, where do you think the next pit stop is above that? And ultimately, where do you think the market cycle top will be this
Mhm.
year? I'm not going to say this cycle because there's signs. Maybe this cycle gets extended. Where do you think the top is going to be this year? I'm curious what you guys have to say. Comment if you're watching live in the live chat. If you're watching later, comment down below and get involved in that poll I did just put out. I'll throw it back to you because you're about to look at some altcoin stuff, which I know we all want to see the alpha on that.
Well, I mean, in general, what you're saying here about, what people's predictions are. I mean, a lot of people are pretty beat down right now. The fear and greed is I mean, we are in hardcore fear right now. In general, I think the next major pit stop, psychological level slash, historical pause moment would be in the halfway point of this 2618 to 1618, which would be like 120. Then, where I think we're actually going to be topping out, I do think we're going to hit these ranges in the purple zone within the year. And I'm still of the opinion that they're going to be at the later part of the year, more in line with kind of a generalized 4-year cycle. We could see an extension for maybe a month or two and go into like the January, February 2026, maybe. Me personally, I'm just planning on a generalized similar structure to this, um, with a little bit less pullback. I think that everything that we see happening for Bitcoin on the reserve side and on the regulatory clarity side is going to kind of diminish our entry point for the next bear market on Bitcoin in particular. For altcoins, I think that it's going to be very, very similar. I think that altcoins are going to drop very heavily. It's similar to the last cycles that we've seen. I think that altcoins are going to drop very, very heavily. Bitcoin is the one where I think instead of a 70% drop, like we all are kind of used to seeing, like from the 69K down to the 15K, it was so easy back in these last 4-year cycles because we didn't have adoption. We could
You
just
know, it's
rinse and
funny. I've
repeat.
been saying that. I did a post about it the other day too. I think
Hmm.
crypto easy mode is over. I think
Yeah.
with the number of layer one, layer two blockchains, the different, I mean, RWAs can be on any smart contract platform. We got
Hmm.
Chainlink out there also disrupting that. That's likely going to take a lot of the cake there. But then
Hmm.
also, this is a very important point from I'm Him said, if ETH fails to make all-time high this cycle, what would that mean for alts? Personally, I'd never buy alts again. What are you thinking about that? Because on the one hand, maybe alts are waiting on ETH. On the other hand, maybe we're in the midst of a transition to the broader niche narrative where ETH
Hmm.
doesn't have to be the arbiter of liquidity coming into alts. Like, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, there is something to it's how we can define intelligence is by like getting new data and operating accordingly from it. Some important things about ETH I posted about last night were that the fees are falling off a cliff. Just for true and tried ETH, fees are falling off a cliff. Now, I mean, XRP is only $100 billion of market cap away from flipping Ethereum to the number 2 spot. It doesn't mean that if XRP gains $100 billion in market cap within the next month, that its price is going to go to these $10 levels. But XRP is very close to flipping Ethereum. And what I see is it's going to be a much more selective altcoin season, quote unquote. It's not like throwing a dart against the charts, against coin market cap like we did last cycle, and then hitting those 10, 20, 30x's, sometimes 100x's. It's about which narrative, and is the narrative going to be heavily talked about? Is it going to be speculated on? I think that the RWA and AI sectors in particular are going to be where we're going to see that speculation. As you can see, I'm going to die. Yeah,
can you on your go back to Twitter? Can you do
yeah.
the zoom in? Just command
Oh, sure.
plus, just because it's fairly. There we go.
Yeah.
We can read it now, baby.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. ETH fees falling off a cliff. XRP is very close. And then, this is my average Pepe, but this has been a theory we've had for quite some time on the blockchain basement, talking about Coinbase capturing Ethereum at some point. When we originally rolled this thesis out, it was me and BJ down in the basement, and BJ was just talking about Coinbase is going to capture Ethereum. We don't know how. And then I came up with the idea, maybe they come out with a layer 2 and they just create a very, very low fee system that they can still utilize the tech of Ethereum, but they can get around the fee needs for Ethereum. And this is essentially what I kind of see happening. And now, like, even Aerodrome is higher on fees, Lido is higher on fees. Like, these hybrid systems that are still using the tech behind ETH are absolutely crushing it. So when I'm looking at alts and what alts to buy, what alts can I outpace Bitcoin upside with, I am very concise with it at this point. I am only looking at RWA's base ecosystem with a lot of DeFi. I think a lot of DeFi is going to be very, very profitable to us this cycle. And then AI, because we have NVIDIA still crushing it. It's still the elephant in the room for the Mag 7. March is actually a big month for NVIDIA as well. We have the conference for NVIDIA, which gave us, in my opinion, a snapshot of what AI-based alt season looks like. But man, there's been a couple different metas within AI, even in and of itself, over the last few years that have changed. Like March of 24, we had the NVIDIA conference, and really anything that was AI adjacent pumped really, really hard. Now we've seen AI agents, they pumped without any NVIDIA conference going on, and now a lot of them have pulled back or retraced by 90%. So that is something that I consider extremely high risk, the AI agent realm, because it changes so fast. But it is something that I'm not discounting to keep an eye on, especially as this March timeframe comes up. But really, like, my favorite ones, let's go here. So this is crazy. I'd be watching for downhill liquidity flowing from Solana into Avalanche. That's something I'm watching out for. Moonwell I like still, even though it's gotten it just bludgeoning. I still like what Moonwell's doing. Plume, this is an RWA that's held up like a rock during the major pullback for a lot of other alts. The lowest level we've seen on Plume is about 9.5, maybe 10 cents. It's still at 13 cents. A very good RWA project that's hooked in with Ondo. XRP I could see happening into the $5 to $6 range in a reasonable mindset. If things get hyper bullish for XRP, I could see like 7, maybe 8. But we have to keep in mind XRP needs $1 trillion market cap to hit $10. So then Constellation DAG. This is actually a micro cap that is very, very American focused. I've been talking about it for years. I think this is going to be one of our biggest upside gainers. I would consider it high risk, but honestly, it's almost escaping that now that the government's so bullish on crypto in general. Avalanche finally in a comfortable buy zone for me once again. The last time I bought Avalanche was at $10. And now that it's under 20 and it did tap like $15, I am being enticed and actually adding to the AVAX bag. That's going to end once it breaches $20 again, though. Chainlink, I haven't bought Chainlink since $5, and I did recently just add to the position at this $13 level. Ondo, I am absolutely exposed to Ondo. I think that Ondo is going to be incredible for us. Paul Atkins isn't even in the driver's seat of the SEC yet. And we have a lot of things. You hear about all these, mass conspiracy theories about U.S. treasuries. And I feel like a lot of people are missing the plot that tokenizing US treasuries is going to allow for the United States to offload and entice more buyers of their debt using on-chain technology. So I think that's something that people aren't really quite grasping yet. So I think Ondo's nice. Aerodrome, I love it. Wrapped Bitcoin, I think it's going to be one of the biggest inflows for DeFi in crypto in general when things start to get really heated. And I don't expect DeFi to really start going nuclear until Bitcoin hits those 120, 130 levels and people want to protect that
Well, let,
capital.
let me ask you an interesting question because,
Yeah.
and I'm not displacing these things, but it's honestly just a mind experiment.
Mhm.
Bitcoin layer twos were a very big potential narrative, and I still think they are. When you look at the growth of what's happened in the Bitcoin layer two space from a year and a half ago, I think it's up the TVL in Bitcoin layer twos is up like 2,000%. We don't feel like anything's happening there because there's all this noise and everything going on in the market. However, we
Yeah.
now have things like Base, Wrap Bitcoin, Aerodrome, Morpho, Moonwell that are providing the ability to do a lot of things that you would have been using Bitcoin layer twos to do for
Right.
DeFi and other applications. But now it's, I don't want to say being supplanted, but now there's this other opportunity that's very simple. And it also is not needing the use of reprogramming or repurposing Bitcoin. You can still do it within the base network just with wrapped Bitcoin. Do you think that's going to eat some of the lunch, so to speak, for the Bitcoin layer two narrative for DeFi, or will that still have its own sort of separate boom?
Dude, user interface is everything. User interface is everything in my opinion. Like that's like a big reason why Solana was able to pull off what we saw Solana do is because Phantom Wallet is as easy or easier than using Facebook. So when we see user interface advantages, I take those very, very seriously. So when I see Coinbase's user face advantage, even compared to a bunch of other exchanges, and then I see the user base, the UI advantage that Coinbase has with Morpho on how easy they've made it to take a loan out on your Bitcoin. You're still holding your Bitcoin. You're wrapping it into the Morpho vault system, and then you're getting out the other side USDC stable coins. Like I think that the user interface and how easy the road is to go down for the average crypto consumer when things really started. Because right now we're speculating on altcoin systems before the crowd really is even here. Like I don't, we're kind of in this bubble where we talk and we look at crypto and Bitcoin every single day, but a very small amount of people are even using crypto at this point. Like, look at this. This is funny. Gold is about to break 3,000 an ounce. So tell me this is a collapse up without telling me this is a collapse up. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
so funny
you
that
know
people.
what? One of the things I noticed as well, because you mentioned the Mag Seven and tech stocks and risk on, risk off. I noticed this. I'm going to put my screen up real quick if I
Yeah.
can find my screen and the 47 different channels here. Here we go. Looking right here. This is something from Glenn Goodman. He said, "We got a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The future looks bright. So why is crypto falling? Answer: Wall Street, and this is the big money players because we don't have new retail that's buying the hope. All that new hope was really siphoned into the meme market. So we see
Mhm.
Wall Street sees cryptos as high risk tech stocks. So whenever tech stocks have a correction, investors flee from crypto too. Now, the
Mhm.
interesting thing about this, and this I do think is warranted to consider, it may sound strange, but I'm actually kind of impressed with Bitcoin's performance lately. Hear me out. Bitcoin was led by the Mag 7 drop, but it's holding up better than the Mag 7. Mag 7 are back down to July 2024 levels. Bitcoin is still at post US election levels. So, in
Mhm.
some ways, maybe it's because of this persistent, I don't want to say hopium, but persistence of good news. We say, why is it not being bullish for Bitcoin and crypto pushing up? On the flip side of that, we can look at all the data and say, well, the market is pulling back from a lot of the trade war uncertainty that's causing
Yeah.
in the markets. And however, the bullish narrative here is the fact that Bitcoin isn't falling as far as the other parts of the market. Now, you can look at it on a percentage basis. Yes, it's fallen more on a percentage basis, but when we're looking at it relative to how far it's fallen to where Bitcoin's price was right post election versus tech stocks, they've fallen all the way back to July of last year, which is
Mhm.
a larger fall, respectively.
Well, it's more lost time, right? Like, it's more lost time and more time that was invested in Wall Street that's just been lost. Bitcoin is a very violent mover. And this is, one of my favorite stats is that we have a 3% adoption rate for Bitcoin right now. 3% adoption. Online banking was at that 3% level in 1996. Social media was at that level in 2005. The internet was at that same level in 1990. Like, it's pretty hilarious to me to realize this and how big of a crypto dork I truly am. When I go talking to people outside of crypto, they look at me like I'm literally an alien. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, we have the president, we have, the shining example for a lot of these Wall Street agencies looking at Michael Saylor. They're talking about the proof of power and, digital supremacy for the United States. And this is a concept way beyond your average person. And this is also something important to note is that the, trillions of dollars that has to be refinanced by the treasury, if they have to refinance at the high interest rates that currently exist, that's going to cause a lot of problems. So Trump and the treasury, it's not just Trump doing this, it's the treasury, they don't want to refinance trillions of dollars of debt at the current interest rates. It's just not something that the Ponzi scheme is built to do. So there is going to be a push, not only from Trump and mainstream media, but also the Treasury to bring those interest rates down.
And by the way, can I
Year.
I'm going to do something that needs to happen sometimes because we can be humble, but sometimes we got to take our hand. Let me go larger screen here. We got to take our hand and not slap it across the face, but reach it over our shoulder and just go, motherfucker. Because you and I were talking about this $7 to $9 trillion problem. You were also talking about the bank term funding problem. We've been
Yeah.
talking about this for 6 to 8 weeks. And I think it was 2 days ago, I just saw all over crypto Twitter, guys, there's a 7 trillion. It's like we've been putting
Yeah.
videos out about this saying, hey, so when people are wondering, wasn't Trump supposed to be good for the economy, market go up? Yes, but in order to run the race, sometimes you got to sit down, take a nap so you have the energy to run. Similarly, right now, to get this economy in order for a wonderful long-term true positive gain culturally and economically in the US, we got to take it on the chin for the moment. Do some tariffs, get everybody back to the table, negotiating tactic 101. Oh my God, this is exorbitant. Well, look at what you're tariffing us. Okay, let's actually make this equitable. Now certainty comes back in the market, and then you have a wonderful base to start from to then build into the market. And so any of you out there watching, and I just saw about 400 people pop in the room. Welcome to the show. This is Drew from Blockchain Basement, and myself, I am from another world. I'm here part of the community BitLab Academy, keeping you on the right side of the trend. And the narrative right now is, why is Trump doing it? Because he's playing four-dimensional chess. I described it on a Twitter post last week. It's like people looking at somebody bobbing their head and you go, they're crazy. Meanwhile, you just don't realize they have a headphone in their ear listening to music. You can't hear the music that they're dancing to. What Trump is doing right now for people that are not paying attention seems completely nonsensible. He's being destructive. For people paying attention to the music, people paying attention to the data, they say, oh, we have $7 trillion in debt we have to refinance in the next 6 months, and we can't do it at this, it's untenable at this Fed rate level. Well, he said he's going to make the Fed pivot. What do they need to pivot? They need lower CPI. We just got it. They need lower PPI. We just got it. They need slowing of inflation, which is what those two metrics are suggesting is finally coming in. And we need the markets to show that there's some distress. Markets pulling back. What do we got now? Markets pulling back, inflation lowering, and an indication that now we can start having the discussion. And it's not going to happen next week. We're not going to get a rate cut. But we do have the FOMC meeting, the Federal Open Market Committee, where they can, what I'm looking forward to, and I know you are too, Drew, is not the decision that they're not going to cut. It's the press conference shortly after the decision where they could say, hey, we're going to start looking at, basically tackling this head on, reducing some of these interest rates. And then now we can price in that rate cut to happen before it does, which you're going to start seeing these markets reverse. And everybody that's been buying these levels as it's gone down is going to be going, God dang it. I'm so happy I'm not a silly, slappy little son of a selling the fear like other people just giving their money over to whales.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a time frame where I'm going to be worried about the fear coming hard. But I mean, this is what we see. It's like everyone on crypto Twitter, they sit there bragging about, why didn't you buy Fart Inu 1000 on its 99% pullback? Armchair investors crushed holding memes. What we do on the base, we make money slowly in good projects, strong teams with actual use cases, protect that money quickly. Right. This is something that's very important to me. And I did have kind of a slew of posts about what we're talking about today. It's sometimes we get over exuberant. Like I've made this kind of trolling post. What if we tokenize the sun, put it on XRP, but the sunlight has to travel to Earth using Chainlink, CCIP, and then absorbed into our skin using Ondo blockchain? Big if true. This is sometimes we get ahead of ourselves in crypto. We think that, God, I'm going to get a seizure looking at this. But sometimes we get ahead of ourselves when we think that we're going to literally tokenize the sun. Like we have to step back and realize these things take time. We have to understand that, the get rich quick schemes that you see snapshotted on people's phones on Twitter, that's for engagement farming, that's for growing their account, and that's for having people chase a great white buffalo. And really, I've learned over multiple cycles is to just, when I'm in a general bull trend, I buy high fear levels during a bull trend, and then I wait until I see that actual Bitcoin bottom, which historically takes some time. Like once you lose the 200 SMA, let's say in 2026, and we start tumbling down the hill and everyone's wondering if this is the end and all that stuff, there it can get really really bad in bear markets. So that is why I take it very seriously to insulate myself. It's either going into real estate, and I definitely love holding Bitcoin even through bear markets, like and heading into this next bear market for Bitcoin, it's going to be scary having missed the bottom for the whole time, because we see the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act is probably actually going to be more active and actively buying during that time frame. So that is something I got to think about. And the max fear that we have right now, I'm buying up as much of it as I possibly can, man. Like I did, there was some credit card I wanted to clear off because it was something that I had left over from a major remodel. Um, and I had it because I wanted to continue buying when we were at like $10 Avalanche and stuff like that. And now in this recent dip, I was able to thankfully top off and add to my conviction plays. I didn't get caught up thinking of we were stuck in this never-ending meme coin super cycle. Thank God. And that's the thing about being an influencer. I guess I hate that word. Is that we have a lot of our people around us that we are showing information to, they try to talk us into this meme coin super cycle, and that it was up only for meme coins, right? It gets the pull is the gravity to do so is very heavy, and to push back and to not fall into that crowd and then fall into the 95% pullback, it takes fortitude. And it takes I think that's why I'm thankful I work with you, Kelly, and TJ and DZ. We all kind of come together and talk ourselves back out of the atmosphere, out of the stratosphere, back to reality, to keep it based for, what we're explaining to people. And really, it's just data driven, man. We got to make choices, not emotionally right now. This is the doldrums where people are capitulating, they're giving up. I am of a hard-sided opinion. We're just following the M2 money flow in general for Bitcoin. Losing the 200 SMA looks scary on the daily and the weekly. I am not worried about it in general. I think that my squiggly line is going to generally look like what the markets are going to look like here in about a month or two. It's just going to take some time to capture this back. I think this is how the M2 basically looks already. Yeah, there you have it. I completely agree with that statement right there. And this is something that I've believed in for quite some time that's played out. A lot of people think it's coincidence. When I have more than one data point of confluence, that's more than coincidence for me. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm buying the blood like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the deal. You and I talk about this. For those of you that don't know, maybe you're new here. Drew and I he's about 60 feet from me on the other side of this same building. As soon as this show wraps, we'll redirect the show. He'll be on his show, Blockchain Basement, which is downstairs, of course, in the basement. Discover Crypto is in the studio, literally about 20 feet from me right here. So we all get to basically powwow every morning throughout the day, talk about the markets. And it's not, sometimes we all agree on what we're seeing. Sometimes we all 3 or 4 have different ideas about what's going.
Mhm.
And that's why it's important. You have to make your own decisions. Whether you're tuning into me, don't only tune into me. Go check out Blockchain Basement. Check out Discover Crypto. Watch Jason Casper and Tom Crown and Frankie Candles and Crypto Burb. I mean, there's so many different voices out there. Randy Hipper, the Givers Gang crew. Tune into different voices so you can see different data sets. Because I know right now, and I've said this, I can't imagine that we're not going to have a continuation on this bull run. The question about it is, does that continuation come after a 7-month sideways period like we saw last year, which is very, very possible with the big boys at play just finally arrived in this market, and they will long while they're also shorting tens of billions of dollars, and also long. There's so much shaping going on, and as our boy Tim from Investing Bros says, when retail misses a boat, you miss a boat. When institutions miss the boat, they bring that sucker back. So I know you got to run to get set up for your show. Do you have any closing thoughts? And I'll wrap up the rest because I got some great charts to share with you all. So make sure you stick around for the next 15 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, guys, like this is an exciting time. This fear reminds me of 15K. It reminds me of 4K Bitcoin. And you guys, like, I don't know. I've changed my life by buying this fear, so I'm just leaning into it. And really, that's a good point. We got to get Piano Matty B wrapped into our redirect coalition. I think that what we're doing, me, Kelly, Isaac, Discover, TJ, is we're reminding the crypto community out there to lift each other up, to raise each other's voices. So we are going to be, I know you're redirecting to Basement here in a few minutes, but then we're going to keep it going. We're redirecting to DGen Alpha, and we've made basically a list of all the different shows of everyone, because I got so tired of the tribalism from, what they call different camps or whatever. It's like, we're here to divulge information and to get the news out as fast as possible. And if
I don't want to cut you off, and I don't want to bring it up, but listen, there's very few people. I can think of one in particular, but there's probably 3 or 4. There's one in particular that has a problem with everybody. And if somebody has a problem with everybody and everybody else is working together, to lift spirits, to share truth, to basically, hey, how do I uplift you? Hey, how do you uplift me? Hey, what can I learn from you? What can you learn from me? That's what this is about. I'm here to do this, not to see a bunch of numbers on the screen, not to get rich. I've made money. I've made great money in this space. I'm here to build community and help other people not fall in the same potholes that I did along the way, and learn. And when I'm wrong, I will share it. And I love you. I love you, Drew. And it's an honor to be a brother of yours.
Absolutely, man. I'll go get the other show. I got a lot of really crazy and some new projects that I found. So I'm excited for the Basement show. But yeah, everyone out there, make sure you're staying tuned for Kelly, our show, and everyone else's shows. We're going to be building this huge coalition of good influencers that I really feel are going to add some value. So I'm loving it. I'll see you soon, man.
Absolutely, Doug. Big love to you, everybody. You can find him at Druth Crypto, as you can see right there on the screen. He dropped off. He's getting set up. So let's dive into the last bit of some charts we got to look at. Everybody, make sure right now, I want every single one of you to look down below. Where's it at? Let's go to that show, actually. Boom, right here. Let's go look right below this. Make sure it says subscribe, turn on your notifications. And once you're subscribed, it has a little thing there. It says join. It's about $1.25 a week to become a member on the channel, keep things going. We have all of our links for our partners right in here as well. Also, shout out to L Bank, which we've integrated in as one of our partners. The great exchange. We're going to be offering some really cool things that's going to be in the joint Telegram that we're going to have with Blockchain Basement, Discover, and BitLab Academy all together as one. And on that note, take advantage of this deal right here, because that deal you see, lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. If you sign up there, not only is it a great deal, it's actually going to grandfather you in to this larger alpha trading and basically alpha education group where you're going to be grandfathered in at the price that is on that link, rather than I think it's like 75% cheaper if you sign in there. So get involved there before we shut that down and rotate everything into the joint group. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of these things we got to talk about before we leave, because there is overwhelming bullishness right now. Now, remembering this, who cares about that? Mag 7, S&P 500. Everybody's still wondering why Bitcoin's not pumping. There is uncertainty in markets. We are seeing a correction, as we've seen it, along the way. And what has happened? The resolution has been to the upside. I still am very firmly of the belief that we're going to have a very, very strong upside here in the very near future, whether it is this month or sometime in the coming months. If I had to guess, I do think we're going to see price action to the upside into the end of this month, and I'm going to show you why. Because there's a couple key signs that are flashing right now, and other signs that are not flashing that are giving me that confidence. First off, we're seeing a lot of this sort of tariff headlines that keep knocking the uncertainty back into the market. Once this is all resolved, which I do expect it to be, large in part at least, or it's going to start getting priced in and not having a negative effect here I would say in the next 4 to 6 weeks. But I think the bullishness is going to come before that. And why is that? Because when we look at this, we talked about the FOMC next week. CPI data came in good. PPI data came in good yesterday and then today, giving that indication. We also see that the markets are down right now, giving better indication in terms of what the Fed can do. If the market is ripping and inflation is ripping, they're not going to cut rates, because the whole thing about rates is to bring inflation down. So if we're getting indications that the inflation's coming down and we're seeing the markets having a bit of trouble, it gives better, I don't want to say confidence, you can start pricing in a higher likelihood of rate cuts throughout the year. So these things are good going into next week. Beyond that, we just looked at that. Beyond that, let's look at this chart. This is a potential reversal incoming chart from Titan of Crypto, Washa Garora. I think that's how you pronounce that full name there, whatever. But we're seeing the tightness of the Bollinger Bands, basically constricted volatility. We see the price action has found the bottom here, found the bottom here, found the bottom of these Bollinger Bands. Bitcoin is showing signs of bottoming. RSI is at support. Look at the RSI all the way down here. Massive hidden bullish divergence with the price having higher lows, higher low, higher low, while the RSI is flat here, coming down to levels at which it has reversed from before, aka the strength is reversing, likely setting up for a reversal. And if the strength starts going up strongly, if the strength starts increasing dramatically here, that means strength is coming into the market, aka the bears lost their ability to push price down, and you will likely start seeing price go up. Now, similarly, you see the RSI, the stochastic RSI has come all the way down here and is showing signs of a crossover, which we saw here before the move, So we're seeing multiple things here suggesting that a reversal could come in. What else are we seeing? We also see right here, market is in an oversold zone after a strong correction. Even without an additional sharp decline, the market has, already been sufficiently lightened, making it a favorable zone for a potential upward move without the need for further significant drops. Now, here we see this with the realized cap of the UTXO age bands, a lot of jargon there. Unspent transaction output, aka coins that are being held, and the realized cap of the last time they moved. And what we're seeing here is a setup of having this very overheated zone and this resetting back to levels that it was here before these other moves. And then we see the MVRV ratio, kind of similar but different way of looking at that. We're seeing this coming down into levels that we've seen. This is that 7-month corrective sideways. Let's chop people out and bore them to death. Because remember, price resetting, the resetting of a market isn't always price go down. Sometimes it can also be price consolidating into what could be a distribution set up for breakdown, or turns out to be an accumulation. Basically, let's bore the shit out of people, chop people up and down until we get that actual move of the bears getting exhausted and the bulls finding confidence for the move. In this case, look at this. This came right into a double bottom W formation here before the launch, and the MVRV was just about right here. Where are we at right now? Our MVRV is roughly about the same level. We've come down, cleared that CME futures gap, as well as almost, but not quite. Let's go to Bitcoin. Almost, but not quite retesting this previous range high. We're come right into that zone. So even if, I want you to hear me now, even if Bitcoin's price moved a bit lower and came into this 77 to 73, $72,000 range, anywhere in here, let's put a box on the chart. If the price action came, this would still be perfect formation of a bullish uptrend, AKA price moves up as it did right here, correcting all the way. It didn't quite get there until right here. Boom. This zone right here. Why is that the perfect zone? Because it tested the previous range high. So this price moved up. It came down, didn't quite get to this level. See, up here it's way higher. Tried again, didn't quite get to this level, and then pushed up and it came down. Still has not quite gotten. Once it gets to this level, if it does, that would be a perfect retest of a previous range breakout of this previous range high. So what we're seeing right now is either very near the bottom, or we're going to have one more little, oh my God, it's so scary. Even if we drop below that on the sell-off, the subsequent sort of liquidation sell-off that came down, potentially even to 69, this would all be within range of that perfect bullish formation. I think we're getting close to this. One of those reasons is if we come over here, as stupid as this is, coming here, is it going to turn on? No. Let's go right here. Boom. Moon phases. As silly as this is, there's been such a regularity on the moon phases in this market. AKA when we're getting a full moon, we're getting, tend to get more often than not bullish price action. So let's scroll back a bit. All right. Full moon up, full moon right before the up, full moon up, full moon up, full moon didn't work there. Full moon kind of up, but failed immediately. Didn't work here, didn't work here. Okay, didn't work here. This is that sort of sideways. How long is this? This is 275 days of sideways. But ultimately, when we're going to get that move, and then we get into the strong bullish phase again, full moon up, came back down a little bit, and then full moon up, 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 full moon up. You're seeing the regularity here. Now, again, I am not trading specifically all this by any means, stretch, or imagination. But when we're looking at the confluence of other things that are going on, right here, we had full moon up, but it failed right into a rejection zone. Full moon up right into a rejection zone. Full moon didn't do anything. We're coming up to the next full moon. So maybe it's just hopium. Who knows? But we're coming into a full moon. I think in 2 days, a day and a half, we will be getting that next full moon. So could that be something? It might just be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But we're seeing that. We also see the Mag 7 breaking down into everything going on. We have the FOMC meeting next week. If we get dovish talk, we might see a rebound, not only on the Mag 7, but also on Bitcoin. We got the full moon, might bring in some positive hopium. We're seeing signs that we might be getting into a rebound zone. We also see a lot of metrics are back to the levels that we saw at $50,000 Bitcoin before the run up to $100,000, AKA back to levels that we saw before the 100% move. Not to mention, we never reached profitability levels that would justify a macro top. Looks and feels like the last few weeks of chop with most of the downside already behind us. So even if we chop here, maybe wick down to 74, maybe we've hit the bottom entirely, but we're going to have some time, some confidence building time in this market, I do believe, but I think we're going to start inching our way back up. I just want to remind you, I posted this yesterday. We got the 30% move to the downside. If we zoom out on this, double click, we've got this sort of channel that goes all the way back from this rejection to this supports. And now we have this secondary medium channel right here, parallel. And now we have this full channel basically projected out from this top to this top. It's amazing how this is a perfect channel, isn't it? And then look at this. Support, rejection, kind of choppy zone right in here, but also look where we found support, and then look exactly right here where the candles came down are currently finding support. If we're able to hold through this, and this has any relevance, like we saw the last time in the last cycle, back here, right here, when we had this large move up, sideways, Bart Simpson pattern back down, we needed about 48 days of confidence before we broke this previous all-time high. And it just kind of had to arc its way up. And then we got launch zone. So where we're at right now, if we zoom in on this, that 48 days, we could actually draw this out a little bit further. Right here, it's 45, but we can see right here, if we make this a bit brighter, I showed this out. If the same fractal were to play out, this would just show price action coming up, rejecting at previous range lows, coming back down, setting a higher low, rejecting again regionally at these range lows. That this bar already had this horizontal line of resistance is already there. And then boom, once we get out, retest, and then start the launch zone that, could project that same fractal project up to like 300,000, but we're not going to be moon boys right now. The point is we're setting up these signs of what we've seen historically as signs of reversal. So why are we so worried right now? We are seeing the dominance pushing a little bit higher. There's still pressure on the alts. I do think the alts are going to have their day. It's still a little bit of work to be done, but this is the altcoin season, sort of total two, looking at everything outside of Bitcoin. We are seeing similar signs that we've seen in previous cycles before. Oh my God, it's over. It's not going to happen. Boom, launch. Okay, we got the reset like we did here. We got the secondary reset like we got here. RSI is in a very similar structure. Are we going to get that next leg up? I do believe that next leg is coming very soon. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. We're going to head over to Blockchain Basement now. Let's go drop some positivity in that chat. I do want to say again, before we go, let's come back over here. Let's see who else is out there online. I just want to highlight a couple channels here. Again, right here, I'm going to highlight a couple people right here. I'm going to try and do this at the end of every show. Make sure, especially newcomers out there, go and follow Givers Gain right here. We're trying to get them up to 1,000. All positivity, bringing different members of the community together, talk about habits, trading, strategy, health, business leadership, all that. Just great group of people, and all from the crypto community, talking about broader things on life. Make sure you go and give them a follow. Of course, also make sure you follow Scott Melker, my guy. Always great content there. Very tied in with Mario Nawfal and Roundtable in the Street, and also his own content. Always having incredible guests on there. Really good broader macro views as well as crypto. Tom Crown, our boy, make sure you go give him a follow. Great TA, great trading, all kind of stuff on his channel. And of course, our girl, Randy Hipper, previously known as, the artist formerly known as Miss Teen Crypto. She's, she's not a teen anymore. Dropping great content there. Always great information in the mornings. You can find her at Miss Teen Crypto. If you search for that on YouTube, you'll find her there. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. My moment of gratitude today is for each and every one of you, for this community that we have together, and that I'm still alive and breathing, and that we're here in this market before the large majority of the world is. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's going to mean that if you can hold to your guns in your strategy and educate yourself on a daily basis, everything in the future is going to be easier if you just practice strategy rather than emotion. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Did we get any super chats or any memberships today? I just want to call people out. No super chats. No love today. All good. I love you guys for being here. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Turn on your notifications. There is a member stream coming out this afternoon. Adios, muchachos.